What's up, Savvy Expats? Today, we're diving into things you should know about before moving to the Philippines. And as always, if you want to support the channel and get access to exclusive content, that'll all be in the link in the description down below. Alright, without wasting time, let's get into it. So the first thing you need to know about is that the Philippines has below average hospitals. Yes, there are many reasons to move to the Philippines, but the healthcare system isn't one of them. According to a 2018 study by The Lancet, funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Philippines healthcare system is ranked 124th in the world out of 195 countries. The Philippines may have a higher ranking if it spent more than a measly 4.4% of its GDP on healthcare. As a result, 30% of the people in the country use private insurance. Now bear in mind that your Western health insurance won't typically cover you in the Philippines. So if you have any chronic illnesses or ongoing health problems, I'd think twice about moving to the Philippines, because God forbid anything happened to you, you'd be paying out of pocket for medical treatment and medication. And that goes without even mentioning that sometimes medication isn't always available. And when it comes to the medical care that you do receive, sometimes it's not up to Western standard. Now, this isn't to say that this is a case with all hospitals in the Philippines. There are still private health facilities up to international standard in bigger cities like Makati and BGC. You have St. Luke's Hospital in BGC, Makati Medical Center in Makati, and a few others. But other than that, there's few reliable hospitals in the Philippines that you could even possibly think of betting your life on. So sure, you can get proper health treatment in the Philippines if you're in the right place, but remember that most hospitals in the Philippines are not on par with the West. Now, the second thing that you need to know about is you have to set your punctuality on Filipino time. Here's the thing, when you move to the Philippines, you will inevitably live on Filipino Standard Time. What is that, you ask? It basically means that everything runs late, whether it be arrival time, transacting pace, or even the pace of walking. Everything runs much slower here. It goes without saying that Filipinos definitely derive their punctuality from Spaniards and the island life. It's even gotten to the point where Filipinos set their events party time an hour earlier just to make sure that people get there on time. And I suggest you do the same, because if you set the time at 1 p.m., expect people to get there at 2 p.m. But Filipino timing isn't just exclusive to arrival time, it goes for all other areas of life. Even the pace at which most Filipinos walk is much slower. Same with transactions, expect to wait. And don't get me started when it comes to filing paperwork in the Philippines. That's why I encourage you to have patience when coming here to the Philippines. Because no matter how much you get frustrated, at the end of the day, it's still a completely different country with a completely different pace of life. In the West, things run a lot faster. In the Philippines, things run a lot slower. That's just the way it is. So now that you know what to expect, you can adjust the mindset a bit and be safe from a lot of headache. Now, moving on to the third thing you need to know, that is, you'll get by with English. I'm sure a lot of people think that they won't be able to live in the Philippines because of language barrier, but that's not the case. English is the second most spoken language in the Philippines, so most people speak it on a basic level. And even if they don't speak it, a lot at least tend to understand it. As a matter of fact, the Philippines is a country with the fourth most English speakers in the world. This is due to the Philippines being under American rule for some time. So while you should learn a few basic words, I wouldn't worry about language barrier. Now for the fourth thing you need to know, that is Filipinos are huge internet consumers. You think you spend a lot of time on the internet? Please, the Philippines has you beat and most other people in the world. Actually, correction, the Philippines has everybody else beat in the world. Yep, that's right. The Philippines spends the most time in the internet out of every country in the world. As a matter of fact, Filipinos spend a globally unbeaten 10 hours and 56 minutes on the internet per day. Americans are left in the dust as they spend a daily average of 7 hours and 11 minutes per day online. And even with social media usage, Filipinos spend an average of 4 hours and 15 minutes per day scrolling through posts. In contrast, folks in the US spend an average of 2 hours and 7 minutes scrolling on social media. I can even vouch for this. I used to think people were out of touch with society in the US. Well, boy, little did I know. Coming here to the Philippines, people are glued to their screens everywhere they walk. Crossing the streets, walking on the sidewalk, and even when eating out, people cannot keep their eyes off their phones. So sometimes I find myself bumping into an individual not paying attention while walking. And it's gotten to the point where my family thinks we're the oddballs for eating out and casually having a conversation face to face over a meal. We look around us and everyone is on their phone at the table. So when the waiters see us, I bet they think it's weird that we're actually talking like what used to be normal people instead of staring at our phones at the table. But anyways, just a heads up, Filipinos are huge internet consumers. Now for the fifth thing you need to know about the Philippines, that is politeness is paramount. If there's one thing I notice about Filipino culture, respect and politeness is the norm. Everywhere you go, especially as a foreigner, people will call you sir and ma'am, and they'll greet you with a good morning or a good afternoon. And depending on where you're from, this may come as a shock to you. In addition to that, younger people address older people as kuya or ate, which means older brother or older sister. If they're even older, aunt and uncle is tita and tito. And so people will address each other as such as a sign of respect, even if they're not related. And sometimes people call each other this even if they're the same age or younger. The point is, it's all about respect and politeness, which is a very wholesome part of the culture. Now for the sixth thing you need to know about, that is volcanoes and earthquakes are common. The Philippines is a very natural disaster prone area as it sits on the ring of fire. That being said, the Philippines is home to 24 active volcanoes, with Taal volcano being one of them. Taal volcano erupted in both 2020 and 2021. The 2020 eruption led to 39 deaths, with entire villages being covered in ashfall. In 2021, the eruption released more than 14,000 tons of sulfur dioxide into the air. And when it comes to earthquakes, there were 88 earthquakes in 2020 that were above a 5 on the Richter scale. Now for the seventh thing you need to know about, that is you don't have to tip as much. Well, at least culturally, you can still tip as however high you want. But everything you learn about tipping at least 20%, you could throw all of that out the window. Most restaurants will include a 10% service fee in your final bill, and a 10% tip will suffice in salons, spas, and other businesses. In general, if you hand someone a 50 peso bill, which is about $1, they'll receive it with surprise and gratitude. So when my family receives good service, we'll tip up to $5 to $10. Or 250 to 500 pesos. That's the norm in the States, but here in the Philippines, people will be pleasantly shocked to receive that. And sometimes they'll even say it's too much and want to give it back. Now, for the eighth thing to know about when moving to the Philippines, that is bring toilet paper. And I don't mean bring toilet paper on the flight getting here, I mean bring toilet paper whenever you go out. One of the weirdest things I notice about the Philippines is that they never have the bathroom stocked with toilet paper. So if you have an unexpected surprise coming and you have to use a bathroom at like the mall, a restaurant, or any other store, expect to see no toilet paper. But you do have a bidet. I always wonder how people dry themselves afterwards. It still beats me to this day, so bring toilet paper. So there you have it, savvy expats. That is 8 things you should know before moving to the Philippines. Let me know if you want me to continue this series, because we're only scratching the surface of this topic. And if you want a part 2 to this video, let's get this video to 500 likes. And so thank you for watching, savvy expats, and I'll see you in the next video. God bless.